Some of the deepest pressure you feel in life doesn't come from strangers. It comes from family, the people who say they love you, but somehow always seem disappointed. Not because you failed, but because you didn't become what they imagined. They don't yell, they don't threaten, they sigh, they worry. They remind you of sacrifices, and slowly, quietly, you learn to associate love with obligation. You're not controlled with force, you're controlled with guilt. Guilt sounds like concern, it sounds like advice. It sounds like, I just want what's best for you. But underneath it, there's a message you feel in your body. Who you are is not enough, unless you live the life we approve of. So you compromise. Not once, not twice. You compromise your choices, your dreams, your timing, your truth, until one day, you wake up in a life that looks acceptable from the outside, but feels suffocating on the inside. Here is the part no one prepares you for. Growing up doesn't end when you leave home. It ends when you stop asking for permission to live your own life. Family expectations often come from fear. Fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty, fear that if you choose differently, it reflects badly on them. But fear does not give anyone ownership over your future. This is where let them becomes necessary. Let them disagree with your choices. Let them worry. Let them not understand. Let them think you're making a mistake. Because disagreement is not danger. Disapproval does not mean disloyalty. You can love your family and still refuse to live under their control. There are 3 patterns that keep people trapped here. The first is debt-based love. You're reminded of everything that was done for you, as if care was a loan. You now must repay with obedience. But love given with conditions was never meant to be collected later. The second pattern is emotional guilt. You're told you're selfish, ungrateful, too independent. But choosing your own life does not mean you don't love others. It means you finally love yourself enough to stop disappearing. The third pattern is false responsibility. You feel responsible for their happiness, their pride, their peace of mind, but you were never meant to be the emotional regulator of your family. That job is too heavy for any child, even an adult one. Now comes the harder shift. Let me build a life I can breathe in. Let me make choices that align with my values. Let me accept the discomfort of disappointing others, instead of the slow suffocation of disappointing myself. Because here's the truth most people realize too late. Resentment is the price of self-betrayal. If you don't choose your life, you will eventually blame the people who chose it for you, and that resentment will poison everything. Boundaries with family don't have to be loud. They sound like, I've made my decision. I'm not asking for approval. I understand you don't agree. No debate. No defense. You are not required to justify a life that only you have to live. Here is a question that changes everything. If no one else's expectations existed, what would you choose? Not what looks responsible, not what looks impressive, what feels honest. That answer matters more than any approval you're chasing. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that cost you your peace. You don't owe anyone a life you can't breathe in. Let them disagree and let yourself finally live without negotiating your worth.